Support for this program is provided in part by Guido's Fresh Marketplace. Welcome to The Natural Cook. I'm Anna Gershenson. Today I am going to be cooking with cauliflower, and I'm going to be cooking the kind of dishes that I grew up eating, and then when we came to this country and I had a family, I started remembering these delicious dishes I had at home, and I was making them for my children, and so all of a sudden they came back into my memory, and I'm going to share them with you, and I hope that you will make it at home and that you will enjoy eating it. It's very nourishing and delicious. So the first thing is the vegetable we are cooking today is cauliflower, and I will show you how to take it apart and what I do with it. But we are going to start with making breadcrumbs, because when we are cooking, we are always thinking, you know, how to put our sequence in order so that everything comes together simultaneously. So I picked Ezekiel bread. You can use any kind of bread for breadcrumbs, but I picked Ezekiel because this is the kind of bread that I discovered as I was living in this country, that it's made with sprouted whole grains, and it's really good for you. It does have gluten, so for people who are on gluten-free diet, it's not really the best thing to eat, but otherwise it's really full of nutrients, and when grains are sprouted, it really they are more digestible. We get rid of lectins that interfere with your digestion and influence your body in not such a great way. So what we are going to do is I will melt some butter. I preheated my skillet. I'll melt butter. You can actually use olive oil or butter or a combination. It's, you know, whatever your preference is. But I'm going to toss these breadcrumbs with melted butter, and you don't have to do it by hand either. If you have a food processor and you don't mind pulling it out, then you can just take food processor, put your pieces of bread into it and engage it, and then you are going to have ready breadcrumbs. However, this is a nice exercise for my fingers. So and feel free to make it as small or as big as you want. So my butter is melting, and we are going to crush this bread again. And I'm going to use it as a topping. So you actually, when you will be eating the cauliflower with eggs the way I prepare it, you can sprinkle these breadcrumbs on top. So instead of having it, you know, like it will be kind of upside down sandwich. Instead of having it, whatever you are putting on top of bread, you are going to be putting breadcrumbs on top of what you are going to be eating. So let's take this butter off, and I will pour it over my bread. Make sure that you don't burn yourself. I will save this skillet because I will use it for cooking my eggs. So then I will put here a pot with water because I'll be steaming cauliflower. And in the meantime, if you might be afraid that the butter is hot, you can use fork, but I feel that it has cooled already, and just make sure that everything is coated. I preheated the oven to 400 degrees, so you will stick it in the oven and you let them dry up and get crunchy there for about probably 7 to 10 minutes. Just keep your senses open. You will smell. All right, so let's stick it there. All right, and now let's go on to our cauliflower. All right, we want the water to be boiling, and I put an insert. I put a steamer basket, and then I will lower my cauliflower there. So what you want to do is, when you buy the cauliflower, you want to kind of feel the heft of it, and you want to make sure that it's nice and heavy. And also remember that these green leaves that used to hug the cauliflower and protect its whiteness, that they're really, you don't really need to toss them, because you can use them. And today I will throw a little salad together, and I'll show you how we can use these greens and the core. You could also use them in a soup if you are making soup. So what I will do, I will take my paring knife, okay, and I will cut the stem to have access to the core right here, okay? And then I already pre-washed my cauliflower, so make sure to wash it and make sure that it's all nice and white and there are no blemishes and no like moldy spots or anything like that. So then I will take my knife and I will cut around, not to separate the florets, but to go to the core and kind of keep my knife on the angle to get the core out, but still have the head intact, okay? So now it's done, and I will lower it into my steamer basket and close it and let it steam. And it will probably take maybe 10 minutes for it to be ready. In the meantime, we can proceed with preparing other condiments that I concocted in my mind to go with this dish. So what we are going to do, and this is something that of course I didn't know when I was growing up in Latvia, and I didn't even have access to these ingredients, but tahini goes very nicely with cauliflower. And so I decided to make a tahini sauce that gives you, a lot of nutrition in addition to being so yummy, and because cauliflower is mild, it will give you, some oomph and some additional flavors. So what we are going to do is we start with taking our garlic and just pushing so that the skin separates easily from the garlic itself. And then I will take my grater, the one with the bigger holes, and grate the garlic into it. And this way you will not have any pieces, so you won't be tasting any pieces or anything like that. And after that, you can use, depending on how garlicky you want it to be. I'm using 2 garlic cloves. You can go with 1. It's up to you. You create this dish. There isn't like hard and set rule about this. Then I will add a little bit of salt, and then maybe like a couple of tablespoons of lemon juice, and then I will whisk them nicely and pour about half a cup of tahini and combine them together. And then this mix will become pretty thick, but I will thin it out with some cold water. So I will start adding a little bit at a time and whisking it in until the sauce becomes very smooth and on a thinner side, so that when our dish is ready, we can actually kind of like drizzle it on top. Okay, so it gets stuck a little bit in our whisk, so we can just tap it and continue swirling it around, and then of course we'll taste it. Okay, so it looks really good, nice and smooth. And let's see if we need more salt. Okay. So yummy. Just a little more salt. There is this pungency from garlic and a little lemony flavor and the smoothness of tahini. Just lovely. Okay, so now our cauliflower is cooking, our breadcrumbs in the process of being made. So I will quickly show you what I do with these greens. So I will just thinly slice them and chop the cauliflower head, and then we will create a little salad. And cauliflower is really a wonderful vegetable in the Brassica family. It has a lot of wonderful nutrients that help you, and I know that you know that Brassica family vegetables like kale and cabbage and broccoli and arugula, they're all wonderful for you. So don't be shy and make sure to include them in your diet as often as possible. And cauliflower has become really very fashionable now in terms of people are trying to create all kinds of dishes with cauliflower that would substitute for, having to use a lot of starches. Like they make even pizza crust with cauliflower, and they make like a puree that they will combine cauliflower with potatoes instead of just using potatoes. Okay, so I chopped these greens, and you can even use the more comfortable way for you to chop up the core would be to use food processor, so that you can just throw it in and chop it up, and you'll have smaller pieces. So let's set it aside for now, and let's check on our cauliflower, how it's cooking there. All right. Okay, so we'll need a knife, and we are going to pierce it. And actually it's almost ready. See how quickly it steams? And this is one of the best ways of cooking cauliflower, because it's not submerged in water, so it's not really using its nutrients. Okay, so while the cauliflower is cooking, we are going to prepare our eggs, because we are going to cook cauliflower together with eggs. So let's take 6 eggs. Okay, and put them into our bowl, and then we'll beat them together. And once our cauliflower is ready, and we'll separate into florets and put it back into the skillet, then we are going to add our eggs, and we'll be scrambling them together. So this is going to be really a very, very delicious dish. And when it's ready, then we are going to just spoon or drizzle some of the sauce over it and add our breadcrumbs on top, so this soft dish will become delicious and crunchy. So let's add some salt, freshly ground black pepper, and I will scramble the eggs. And to make them fluffier, you would want to add either a little milk or a little water, kind of to break them up. So I will add a little water. So my eggs are going to be ready to go when we are ready to cook them. Okay, so scramble them nicely and set them aside. In the meantime, let's take out our cauliflower. We'll reduce the heat, and we will put our skillet back on, because once we separate cauliflower into florets, we'll be ready to actually put it back into our skillet. So see how easily it's falling apart? All right, let's take it out. You might want to use like 2 big spoons. Okay, and now it's really, once your cauliflower is steamed, and I'm going to add more butter and a little bit of olive oil so that my skillet is ready for cauliflower to start cooking once I separate it into florets. All right. Okay, make sure that it's cooking. Sometimes it's playing games with me. No games here. All right, so what we are going to do is just break it up, and you might want to take your bigger knife and see, it's very convenient when you have this surface like a big baking sheet, and it makes it much easier for you to work. You don't want to have any kind of small pan or a small cutting board, and this has rims, so nothing is going to be falling out of it, and everything is very, very convenient. So let me increase the heat so that when our cauliflower hits the pan, it starts sizzling. Okay, so I will season it a little bit with salt, and then I will throw it onto my skillet. Okay. In the meantime, while the cauliflower is going to be cooking, we will check on our breadcrumbs to see if they are ready. Okay. And you can actually make this part in advance. You can always make it in advance, and to have your cauliflower like even a day in advance, and to have it in the refrigerator if you are preparing this dish, you know, for friends, for brunch or something. You can always do it ahead of time. Okay, so let's add cauliflower. All right, and I will add a little bit of salt and pepper, just like I said before. All right, let's clean up our hands and get it browning and getting a little bit crispy. So I'll increase heat some more. Okay, and now let's check on our breadcrumbs. Okay. Okay. Our breadcrumbs are nice and ready. As you can see, they have browned. So as soon as we are ready to use them, we'll put them now on this little plate, because we don't need to use a lot of them, but it's actually wonderful to have breadcrumbs, you know, as part of your, like having them in your pantry ready-made, because they are so nice throwing on your soup, or adding to your salads, or right here like in this dish. I'll show you what we do. Okay, so our cauliflower is cooking. Let's take a little break to let it brown a little bit, and then when we return, I'll show you how I finish it off. Okay, so our cauliflower has browned nicely, and now it's time to add our eggs. So we are going to whisk them briefly again and just distribute them in the pan so that cauliflower is all covered with our eggs. And you are going to be able to feed really a few people with this wonderful dish. So let's watch to make sure that you see how the eggs start setting on the sides, and you will be sort of like scrambling them. You are not going to be making a frittata or anything like that. When you see that the eggs are setting, you are going to be lifting your mixture with your spatula and letting the liquid egg flow back into the pan and making sure that cauliflower is all covered with this egg, and stirring it and lifting it and folding it and cooking them together so that it will be kind of cauliflower egg-coated mixture, making sure that everything is nicely cooked together. Okay, you can shake the pan, make sure not to overcook. You want to cook the eggs just enough so that they are done, but not that they become hard. So I'm going to turn off my pan because I see that my eggs are already cooked. And what I will do is place the ready dish into the serving dish. Okay. And I will take my tahini sauce and drizzle it nicely all over, and it will create very nice flavoring and permeate these flavors will permeate our dish. And then we will sprinkle our crunchy breadcrumbs because this mix is nice and soft, and the breadcrumbs will provide extra nutrition and add to the enjoyment of eating this dish. And then I chopped some parsley and some parsley on top, and you have a really, really lovely dish that you will enjoy very, very much. So now back to our salad. So what we have here, some chopped greens from cauliflower, and you can also chop the core. And what we will make as a dressing for this dish is we are going to grate a little bit of lemon zest, because lemon zest will give us all these wonderful oils that are very aromatic and contribute to the flavor. Then we will add some lemon juice to this. We will also add some salt and pepper. And the flavors that go really nicely with cauliflower are olives as well as capers. And this is something that we are going to put into our salad. And you will see how yummy it will be. So now we will be able to drizzle some olive oil, and we'll see, maybe we will need more lemon, then we'll add it. If not, we don't. Okay, looks very nice. So now we will taste it. Very delicious. Set it aside. I rinsed some capers, and I'm going to give them a rough chop, and I will add them to this. And then I will take some olives, and I'll show you how it is easy to pit them unless you buy already pitted olives. So let's add our capers, and then we will take some red onion and give it a really, really nice little mince for a little sharpness and additional nutrients. Red onion, of course, has most nutrients of all the onions, probably because of its color. Whenever we have a colorful vegetable, the more color we have, we know the more nutrients are hiding in there. Okay, we won't put a lot, not to make it too sharp, because we don't really have a lot of greens, but you can actually make it with raw cauliflower or even steamed cauliflower, this salad. It will be delicious. So we will take our olive. I will knock on it just like I do with the garlic and release the pit. And then we will give them a chop and add it to our dressing. Okay, so all right, looks really lovely. Okay. Let's add it to that. And then we are going to throw our leaves inside and toss them together with our dressing. Okay, and your hands are really a good tool for this. What we'll also do, we'll add lots of parsley, and then we will add our breadcrumbs. And first, I have to taste. This is a very assertive salad. All the flavors that we put there complement the crunchiness of the cauliflower, and the crunchy breadcrumbs will add to it. And look how lovely you can see the red onion with the greens. It's really, I think it has exceeded my expectations. This is something that I thought would really be good to throw together. And now I think I'm going to create it as a recipe and write it down what I did, so that I can offer it to my family and to my friends, and they can enjoy this. Okay, so let's take a serving dish and we'll plate our lovely salad. Okay. So today we have learned how to make 2 different dishes with cauliflower. We know that cauliflower is a wonderful vegetable that you should include into your diet. We try to include brassica vegetables into your diet every day, at least a few times a week. And today we prepared this lovely cauliflower with eggs. So you learned how to core the cauliflower, that you can use the leaves, you don't have to toss them, how to shop for cauliflower. After you buy it, you can store it in the refrigerator for about a week and store it stem side down, not to have, you know, too much moisture accumulating there. And then breadcrumbs is a lovely, wonderful way to liven up your dish and to make it, you know, texture-wise delicious and interesting. And so please join me again for my next show, where I'm going to show you how to cook real food and how to nourish yourself with food from plant kingdom. See you next time, and hope you will cook together with me. Bye. Support for this program is provided in part by Guido's Fresh Marketplace.